Okay, and welcome to our Level Up learning session here with Josh Hilton from Coachify. Coachify is the exclusive MHSEL coaching partner focused really on being able to support our high school esports programs, students and coaches with the tools necessary to be able to monitor your team's performance or your students' performance, be able to help them practice better, help them to perform during matches better. And one of the cool things that I know Josh is going to talk about too will be the ability to actually do a VOD review, essentially take a video recording of one of your matches or a practice and get feedback from expert community to be able to assist and provide feedback to your players. I know some of our coaches are gamers, and you are all dialed in and know just as much as the kids or more about certain games. Although I know from hearing from many of you, you are coaches who just have a heart for kids and want to help them be successful at things, even if you're not familiar with the game and you can't really tell them what to do differently with strategy and that sort of thing. And so I think that's really that group is probably where the Coachify program comes in handy for that group to be able to, again, give you that expert feedback and support that is needed to help improve the performance of your team. So, Josh, thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with MHSEL today. We are recording this webinar, so we'll be able to use this to help kind of just explain the system if I haven't been doing a very good job of it along the way, so people kind of know what some of the benefits are to your program. And so I'm going to hand it over to you. If you want to talk maybe just really briefly about yourself and Coachify in general, then I know obviously you're going to dive in and show some examples of some of the services you can provide our programs.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan. Great introduction, and not a ton more to add there. Yeah, just a little bit about me and Coachify. I've been working in the esports coaching space, building tools for coaches for a while now. And we actually started Coachify as an attempt to focus on building tools for esport coaches rather than just making another marketplace for coaches to be able to go and kind of offer their services. So kind of taking more of like a Shopify approach to things where, we're giving you everything that you need to run your business and give your students and players a better experience. And one of the things we discovered while building that is we actually ended up creating tools that would be really helpful, not just for coaches that are in the business of giving, one-to-one private lessons, but also coaches who are helping out teams, in particular, high school and collegiate coaches. And so that's one of the things we've been really excited to expand and work with organizations like yourself to be able to share these tools with coaches and just try and help level up the scene in general. So, yeah, that's kind of the background there, and then I can start talking about some of the different things that we've got available then here for the coaches, and we can go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. And I'll as I think of questions or see questions, I might interrupt along the way. I know I got to meet Josh at the NACAD conference out in Minnesota. I got
Yep.
to see a demonstration on Discord earlier this summer, and again, just kind of like what I opened with, I just thought it was a really cool approach to be able to just get better at your craft. And that, kind of the way, as you mentioned, it's kind of organically evolved into this approach that might benefit some of our high school programs, even if that wasn't the original intent, is really cool. So yeah, I'm going to step out of your way and I'll let you drive everything on your screen, and I'll just pop in every once in a while with some questions as I see them or think of them.
Cool. Sounds good. So yeah, I'll start off with actually a fairly new feature that we've started offering, and it's essentially VOD reviews, but from our own experts that are already on the platform. And so we heard a lot of schools in particular asking for help with their teams. A lot of times you're going to have somebody, like you said, who might be a gamer or maybe isn't a gamer, but just passionate about helping, the kids that might otherwise not get involved in activities at school come in and be able to, provide some expert, review and advice for their players. And so this is something we've done where we take a small group of vetted and approved professional coaches, and we've created a VOD replay system that you can upload a video for your team And you can see here all the different options that we have. And if there's a game on here that you want to have included, just let me know. I'm sure we can find coaches for it. But basically, you can drop the video in there, and then asynchronously, one of our expert pros will be able to come in, do a VOD review, and get you all the details about your team that you can then take back to your players. And this is really nice, especially for the schools and more so for the high schools, in that you as the coach, the coordinator, you're the one that's making the accounts on Coachify. And so you actually get to control all the interaction with our experts. So if your school is extra strict, whatever regulations you have to follow, you're actually the one controlling the interaction there. And I can even show people an example too of what a VOD review like this looks like, where I've now in my dashboard and I had submitted a video of my own gameplay. We're not going to go too in depth into it, but if I click here on view, you can see this is my VOD review that I got from a League of Legends coach. And so I have my game. I had uploaded it onto YouTube, and then I submitted the video. You can either upload it to YouTube, you can upload it to Twitch. You can also just upload the file itself directly to us when you're submitting the VOD review. So as long as you have the game recorded somehow, we'll be able to take care of it. And so what you can see here is this is the delivery, right, of the VOD review. And so the coach has the video, and they've put in these different timestamp comments and even a little title there, right? So if I jump around and see the different things, and then I've also got his comments over here on the side, keep your distance. I got way too close. And so this makes it really easy for you as a coach of the team to be able to get this expert review, go through, and then you can just share your screen, right, with your players to be able to show these notes, to be able to reference back to the video, or you can just, take this information yourself and then be able to return it to the players. We even have a comment section here as well if you want to have some back and forth reply with the coach. And then we even give you a direct link to the coach's profile. So if you want to connect with that pro coach, maybe if you want to get some additional coaching directly with them, that's completely fine. We're, again, not focused on trying to be a marketplace. We're focused on the tools. And so if you want to work directly with that coach, no problem at all. If you prefer just uploading videos and get them reviewed by anyone in that pool of coaches, that's also totally fine. And so we've made it really easy for schools to come in. You get a discount, of course, if you bulk purchase a set along with our premium subscription. But we can, if you're not interested in the premium, we can even do bulk purchases for games as well. That's very easy for us to set up for you. And so you can come in and then you would get a code basically to be able to put in a code instead of paying. So you do a one-time invoice. We'll give you a code for each game. And then so whenever you're uploading games, instead of actually paying or using a credit card, you would just drop in your code and it would decrease the counter that you have for each of your VOD reviews there.
I really like, I didn't think of it. I was curious to know how the feedback piece works, right? And so it looked like they kind of get some general feedback, but then I really like the ability to timestamp it. So when
Yep.
you're referring to something, you can see exactly the moment in time. And that probably works better, for certain games over others. So really, it's just a matter of a team taking the time to capture their match, right? Record their match. And
Yep.
I guess if they weren't able, they could do it of a practice against their own peers or whatever, right? And just using a certain strategy or whether it's a map they're focusing on or whatever. But I like that feature. That seems really handy to be able to then, because it's going to be the coach that's going to take this information and probably pull it up on a screen so you guys can watch it
Yep.
together as a group now on a projector. Hey, here's what the person said. Let's go to that marker and let's watch and see if we understand what they're explaining. Oh, I get it. That's really powerful.
Yep. And we even allow you, as when you're submitting your video, to put in a little note for the coach. So you can see here, I dropped in, here's my match link. I know I stepped up a time or two poorly and overestimated my damage. So especially, if you're doing a scrim or, if it's a full game, or even better, you've got a match coming up and there's something in particular you need to practice and you have a video of you practicing it in scrims. Now you have this expert pro coach coming in and looking at the video. Tell them that in the coach note, right? So that they can then specifically give you feedback. Oh, okay, so this is what you're trying to do. You're doing it well, or maybe try doing this as another way to help practice that skill or practice that map, things like that. They're very helpful. and very happy to give, that more specific feedback as long as you let them know that's something you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's really handy too, because and again, some coaches might be just say we just anything, right? Give me give me anything, anything you notice. Whereas others that really are being specific about how they want to improve, they might know, hey, we're good on this. It's this one area, or as you mentioned, kind of the idea of scouting ahead, knowing who your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
My opponents are really good at A, B, and C. What do you think
Yep.
of this to counter that? As specific as you want to be. So yeah, that's a really good feature as well.
So yeah, so that's kind of our VOD review system. And so this is really something good in particular for either, someone who doesn't necessarily have that big of a background as a gamer, or maybe, you are a great coach in one particular game, but you're also responsible for other games where know next to nothing. Um, yeah, so you can just come in here and get that expert help. But for the coaches that do know what they're doing, on the individual game, we give you these same kind of tools as well to be able to work with your team. And then also just to be able to manage your program in general, right? Like you're probably wearing so many different hats trying to keep track of everything. And so that's where our Coachify tools come in for the coach as well. So rather than just, buying these VOD reviews and running them through and getting the results back from a pro coach, we actually have it set up so you can come in here and you can make your own student profiles for all of your players. And that's another really nice feature of Coachify, I think, that we have, is that you actually don't have to have your players create an account on Coachify. You can just come over here and do add student, and you can create a student profile that's not connected to a user account. So this way, if I go through here and I add all this information, and then I click on one of these names, you can see, because there's this invite student with link, this student profile is not connected to a user account. So I can come in and I can track all the information that I would just like a user that does have an account. And this way you can, again, kind of goes back, right? Like some schools stricter than others, not allowed third party. That's totally fine. Just don't put any personally identifying information in here, or, follow whatever rules your school has. You don't have to make them create an account, but you can still track and organize all the information that you need. And then we also make it really easy. So like you can make these profiles, and then like the students are allowed to come on the platform. You can just click this link, send it to them. And then when they register on Coachify, it'll automatically connect their new user accounts to this student profile. And then the other thing that we make really easy is the customization feature. And so for those of you that have ever worked with a CRM before, same idea. You can actually come in here, create any of these different attributes. And so add attribute, really straightforward. Just come in, pick out the different types. There's so many different ones that we have, really generic. And then the other nice thing too that we have is the control over these individual student attributes, where you can actually even say, hey, I want to share this attribute with a student if they have an account on Coachify, or I want to keep it completely private to me as the coach, right? So these are just my private notes. But if you share it with a student, you can even then let them edit it, and then you can even mark it as required. So if you're trying to collect feedback from the player or these other things, we give you the flexibility to be able to put it in there, and be able to then, set it up essentially however you want. I know some coordinators are actually using it to track like non-esports specific information, right? Like, wanting to put something in there, tracking their academic eligibility. I don't think anyone's putting in GPA or any sensitive information like that. But, if you have a player that's, on the edge, or maybe, someone that, you're having to keep track of their absences, that can be an easy little attribute to throw in there. And just like a weekly reminder, you kind of come in and you can check on them and remind them too that, hey, you've got to keep up your attendance in order to be able to participate on the team, things like that. So that's the attribute system. In addition to the attributes, we also have assignments. So assignments, there's two different here. There's basic, where you just type in an objective. And then when you add in an objective here, it shows up. If the student has an account on Coachify, they'll be able to log in and see this as well. And they can click this little plus button to track the instances of completing it, or you can do it as the coach as well. So if I click it, okay, now it's completed. Great. We also, I know not many high schoolers are playing League of Legends these days, but we're in the process of adding stuff for Valorant as well. So hopefully that'll come through a bit more. But you can actually add a game account for League or Valorant. And when you do that, it gives you access to some advanced assignments where you can actually create assignments that will then update automatically off of the game's API. So for like League, you can say, hey, go play 5 games of Varus. Awesome. It'll update without you or the student having to do anything because you're going to put in their summoner account and our API will check it against Riot and update that automatically.
So Josh, can you give me an example of what that would look like then maybe like in Valorant and then a game that doesn't that where it's not connected? Let's say so Smash Brothers. Like what are some examples of some assignments that a coach would want to send out to a player or all their players to track?
Yeah, so yeah, something like Smash would probably be practicing matchups, right? So a player has a specific character that they like playing. Maybe they're having trouble. I'm not much of a Smash player. My 6-year-old already beats me. So,
Yeah, mine too.
but Samus versus Pikachu, maybe, right? Like, so go practice. Have 5 games of Samus versus Pikachu, of like different character levels. So either do it online or something. So then you can just type that in there, right? Because it's just plain English. And so the basic assignments, it does require that manual effort, but it is a great way for both the coach and the students to be able to track that and have some kind of shared accountability, right? To be able to come in and see, even if the player doesn't have an account on Coachify, you as the coach, if you're, take a few minutes at the beginning of each day or of each practice to kind of sit down and kind of quickly go through with everybody. All right, this is what you've got. This is what you need to do. Have you done this? Do I need to update it? It still relies on the player to, be trustworthy, but, you're in that situation anyways, right? Or you can even just update it yourself as you're going through a practice session. Maybe this is what you want them to work on, and you're just sitting there, updating it as they're playing themselves during the practice session. Then the other thing that we have in here is a notes section. So the student attributes is really good for kind of categorizing information that's going to be used, across all students. Notes is a way to essentially add a Google Doc on a player. So if you're wanting to give them, extra history, extra things to work on, or just extra notes, whatever it might be, you just give it a little title here, you add the note, and it drops you into this rich text editor. So again, just kind of like Google Docs, you can paste images, you can embed videos, you can do all the rich text formatting. So if I put something in here real quick and then I save it, you can even see that there will give me the comments. I'll even refresh it real fast so it'll show up. So there can be comments, so I can leave comments with the student and kind of have a really good record going back and forth. Maybe it matters a little bit less for high school, but especially colleges, trying to pull everything out of Discord, where like, you put it in there, you might be able to find it for the next few days, but, trying to find, a conversation that you had 2 weeks ago talking about this really cool strategy that you came up with, and now you have to go back and try and find it. Good luck with that one. And then we also even still give you the control as a coach. Right now, this is still actually private to me as the coach until I click publish. And then once I publish the note, if the student has an account on Coachify, then they would be able to log in and see this note. And then we have the VOD review system. So just like what we saw with the VOD review, when you're buying it from an expert coach, you as a coach inside Coachify, you can actually add one yourself. And so you can go in here, you can embed a video. Interesting thing we tested and we found that just works fine without us having to do anything. You can actually use YouTube live streams. I know a bunch of people, at least in the League Tier 3 scene, like to have a private stream of one of their players' perspectives when they're doing scrims, right? So now that they can just drop in that YouTube link into a VOD review when they're making it here on Coachify, and that stream is actually being saved as a video, and you can create all these different timestamp comments just like you would a regular VOD review. And then when the stream is over, you're able to come back and look at them because the timestamps stayed match up thanks to how YouTube does things. And so again, YouTube, Twitch upload, you can go in there, just drop in the video link. We don't have the manual file uploads for these just yet, but it's going to be added fairly soon. So it can be just like the Pro VOD reviews. But again, just like that, you can create these timestamps. You can see I can come in here, I can update. So if I jump to a different spot, I can do add frame note. All right, so it's got this new timestamp down here. You give it a title, give it some text, and then I can save it up here and it'll show up. And then the nice thing about the VOD reviews that you're creating as a coach, you can actually leave comments, not just on the overall video. You can actually leave comments on each individual frame note as well. So this is really good for if you're talking about things with the player that you need to like kind of have a little bit of back and forth with, then you can be able to do it there. And yeah, it's just being a little slow. I'd have to refresh for it to pop up apparently, but yeah, so this is a really easy way to kind of show everything here.
I like that. I didn't even think about really that being, I mean, it makes sense. Like your basketball coach is going to sit down and pull up and they're going to look at it themselves, right, with their team to discuss what do you guys think. I think there's a lot of power in having the expert community provide feedback, but I think you can certainly still find value in um, just doing that with your own team yourself. And what do you notice, right? Where do you think you could have improved? Where do you think we did really, really well at? We want to continue to do that strategy or use that character or that map or whatever. So I didn't realize that was really an option in there before you go to like kind of the next level up of having somebody from the outside give it. So that's a cool feature. I learned something new.
Yep. And then, so that's kind of all of the feature sets on the players. We also have the order section, right? So that's kind of more of the private one-to-one coaching. I know I've talked with some high school, college coaches that have talked about maybe using this as a way to kind of track individual practice sessions with their players. They're obviously not going to charge them money, but they want to like kind of keep a history. And so you can like add as an order here, add in some, basic coaching lesson. And you can even like, change the pricing on here. So if you want to just make sure that's like you're keeping it tracked, right? So you can be able to see the history of it. That's something you can add in really easily. But the other thing I wanted to point out too is our Teams feature. And so the Teams functionality requires Coachify Premium, which we're doing at a 50% discount for MHSEL schools. You get a full year for $150. And then this lets you create teams, as many teams as you want, using as many players as you want, both players that have a user account on Coachify and those that you just have a student profile. And so when you create a team, you can then create assignments, notes, VOD reviews, all at the team level. And so any player that is on the team and has an account on Coachify is then able to come in and see all of those. And the assignments in particular, you can still make an assignment for an individual player, or you can make it for the entire team. And so again, you can make these custom assignments, right, where anyone would be able to come in and click the plus button to be able to track it. But this is a great way of using a little bit of peer pressure to make sure that everyone's doing their homework, right? Have you gone and done your practice work? Especially in the team-based games, right? Everyone needs to be pulling their weight. Everyone needs to be practicing and getting ready for the next match.
That's a really cool feature. I mean, it kind of just goes back to what do all of the successful programs do, regardless of the sport, whether it's esports or football or volleyball,
Yep.
right? They are constantly, what is coaching? It's giving feedback, right? And monitoring performance and scouting and reviewing film, and, like all those things that we've been doing.
Yep.
This is just a really clever, unique way to do it in the esports world, right? So, really, really cool feature. And I'm hoping, I can't wait to have some of our schools, I know we have some signed up already, do this and to get their kind of feedback and get some testimonials from them because, I know coaches want to be able to help and some are able to, as I mentioned at the very beginning, are able to provide that feedback. But I know we have a ton that, um, just having the structure of this or to be able to provide that support, even if
Yep.
it's not always going to some sort of extra, but just being able to, work with a kid. Like, what do you think you should be working on? All right, well, let's write that up. Let's document that. Let's provide some measurable action items to that strategy, right? And to be able to do that as a group, whether you are have the content expert knowledge of Valorant or Smash or whatever, or don't, right? I don't think you really need it to be able to utilize this. And then for the
Yep.
ones that want to get that, obviously those services are available as well. So um, as Josh mentioned, if you are an MHSEL school, you do get a discount to be able to use this subscription service, unlimited teams, unlimited
Yep.
students for
Yep.
that flat rate, which is really cool. Just easy. I think it's a very fair number to be able to figure out a way to make that happen. Is there anything else I should have asked you, Josh, in terms of any other features, or what is the easiest way? So if somebody's watching this video, let's do this, and they go, all right, I'm sold, I want to do this. What is the next step to like getting signed up? And if they are an MHSEL school, how to get the discount, that sort of thing.
Yep. Easiest way is just to email me, joshua@coachify.gg, and we'll get the ball rolling.
So just got to email you to get started. Very cool. Awesome. Well, Josh, hey, I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I saw this a couple months ago. We had a chance to talk out at Minnesota University um, earlier this summer about this, and so I'm excited to see how schools would use this and will use this, and so it'll be fun to kind of track that and to see how much they improve and how much they have to say, and then hopefully we'll get as many MHSES schools as possible using it to help support their programs and increase performance. So really appreciate your time today. And as he mentioned, Joshua at coachify.gg. If you want to reach out to me, Ryan at mhsel.org. I can also do the introduction and send you over to Josh if you have any questions as well. And yeah, it'll be a good time to see how many people get on there, start using it for the rest of the fall season, and then I think we're gonna have a lot of schools playing this spring. So hopefully people take advantage of this spring yet as well. So appreciate your time, Josh. Enjoy the rest of your
Absolutely.
day. And yeah, coachify.gg. Check it out.